like as good as the vibes have been, like in the last half of the season into the playoffs, like this roster is kneecapped in a way. Like just off the top, you have a situation where like you've got players like Rui Diaz and Leo Chu on big numbers that you're getting nothing from.
I mean, Nathan as well.
Nathan was hurt all year. De La Vega was hurt all year, never really got going. So, like, when we
finally saw, like, some glimpses, like, in this postseason.
But, like, overall this year, it was a busted year for him. Yeah. So, like, when you take into account just those three things, if you told us before the season that you would get pretty much nothing from De La Vega because of injury, that Rui Diaz would be out of the lineup, like pretty much entirely for the stretch.
Georgie Manungu was going to start your season finale.
Georgie Manungu is starting playoff games or like starting important games for you. Like if you told us all this, we would have been there's no way. Like I don't even see how maybe they make the playoffs.
I would have blocked you on Twitter.
Yeah, but they made the West Final and got pretty close to winning it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that this stings a lot in spite of all that is just that it feels like a big missed op, because I really think the winner of this game is MLS Cup champion.
It would have been great to have another MLS Cup that's the thing is
you basically lost, like you probably lost a trophy on this. Like I don't think the Red Bulls are coming to Seattle and winning.
Well, and if you go back to the last time the Sounders lost a conference final, it was in 2014, long time ago. It was also against the Galaxy. It was also a game where the winner got to host MLS Cup.
Yep.
And, the Galaxy did go on to win MLS Cup that year. And I wouldn't say this feels quite the same, because that year the Sounders won the Supporters' Shield.
And I was 14.
Jeez.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Blow past that.
Right. Are we going to go to jail now?
Yes.
Where were we?
Yeah,
where did that come
the
from?
2014 Galaxy.
Well, I don't even know where my point was.
It didn't
feel the same, but my point was that you can't help but feel like a little deflated, because you had this opportunity that was just sitting there. Yeah. And I think that was really what, more than anything, I think that was sort of the overarching sanguine mood, was they knew they had this opportunity to do something special that, and Steph talked a lot about this, about how this is sort of a last ride, not necessarily for this group as a whole, but there invariably are key players who are not going to be back next year. And there is a dynamic, you work with all these guys for a year or more, and you have this dynamic, and it starts to feel like this special group. And I think they really had convinced themselves that it was sort of that they'd gone through the fire, that they'd come out the other end, that they'd gone through. This was not an easy. They'd been doubted. They had been down, and they rallied around each other. I think I think Christian is being genuine when he says that this was the best group that he'd had, and I think part of that is because they went through so much together, and that there was real strife, and they found their way through it, and.
He went from Raul walking off, basically, right? To you had him accepting his role.
Raul and who got suspended for being petulant.
Yeah. And we had talked about, I don't even know how many episodes ago it was, but I dubbed this the season of almost, and it really was. It
was absolutely.
I said that not knowing what the outcome of this playoff was going to be, but it really was 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just we were almost there.
Almost is a good way. They were a result short of. You can start small.
Yeah.
They were a result short of getting the Cascadia Cup.
Yep.
They fall in the U.S. Open Cup semifinals. They fall in the U.S. Open or the Leagues Cup quarterfinals. These were all these. They did a good job of putting themselves in the position to almost get there, and then they just don't quite do it.
They didn't have the thing, or just the things to get them across the finish line that the teams that they were playing against did. Right. Mainly attacking soccer, but
that's the thing though. like there's been so much talk this year about how, you know, behind the 8 ball they are, like an attack compared to LAFC, Columbus, Inter Miami, and
But
this
they're
Galaxy
farther-
team.
they got further
They
than
made
all-
it further than a lot of those teams, and they played this Galaxy team that's got this attack that's, you know, got all these resources pumped into it that people have been comparing. They're like, you know, Seattle, why don't they sign Ricky Puig? Why don't they sign Gabriel Peck? Why don't they sign Joey Paints? I get all that, but then you look at how these games in the playoffs actually played out on the field, and Seattle beat LAFC in the playoffs in their own stadium, and they took the Galaxy down to the wire, and the Galaxy only scored 1 goal in the game.